Ladies and gentlemen, may I request all of you to kindly be seated so that we can start the next session. It's going to be a slightly longer one before we go for the lunch break. Thank you. Again, a very, very interesting session. The financial frontier, reform, resilience, and renewal. So that's the resolve for the 8th session. And then we're going to have a brief fireside session also, a fireside chat for about 20-25 minutes. And then finally the vote of thanks by Mr. Imran Halim Sheikh, who is the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of Bank Islami Pakistan Limited. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are into the 8th session of this Future Summit, the 9th edition. As I mentioned before, the financial frontier, reform, resilience, and renewal. We've heard a lot of buzzwords these days, like Islamic finance, capital market modernization, fintech, digitalization. How does it translate? How does it fit into the theme of things? And how does it contribute to the economy? This session will address Pakistan's financial transformation from fiscal reform to fintech. The panelists will explore how digitalization, Islamic finance, capital market modernization, all of these can position Pakistan as a regional financial hub. And drawing on comparative models from ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and the GCC, the dialogue will also emphasize the reform, cross-border trade facilitation, and the need for digital innovation, education, how do they drive human capital to sustain growth. I'm going to introduce the panelists for this session. We have the honor of having Mufti Muhammad Hassan Kaleem, who is a Sharia advisor on 10 companies' boards. Can we have Mufti Muhammad Hassan Kaleem on stage, please? Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Next on, we have Mr. Muhammad Atif Hanif, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Al Barka Bank Pakistan Limited. Thank you, sir. And up next, we have Mr. Imtiaz Gadar, CFA. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Al Mizan Investment Management Limited. This session will be moderated by Mr. Muhammad Shoaib, who is also the CEO and co-founder of Lucky Investments Limited. Can we have a big round of applause for Mr. Muhammad Shoaib also? Can I ask the participants, the panelists, to kindly move up? Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Shoaib.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everyone. Actually, it's afternoon now. Good afternoon. Today's session is focused on Islamic finance, the future of Islamic finance in Pakistan. And as we all know, Pakistan is going through a transformation phase. I would like to start the session by reciting a verse from Allama Iqbal. It says, "Afraad ke haathon mein hai aqwam ki taqdeer, har fard hai millat ke muqaddar ka sitara." So connecting this discussion that has been going on since yesterday, first of all, Dr. Musaddiq Malik mentioned that first we have to define the direction before we decide that, unless you decide the direction, you cannot move to the destination. And then one of the speakers also mentioned that the decision to where to go is actually in the hands of all these people sitting in this hall. So it is in our hands to decide where do we want to go. As far as Pakistan, the economic system is concerned, we all know that we are moving towards complete transformation. And this transformation is not merely about changing the terminology or instruments. It is about reclaiming the soul of finance, restoring trust, promoting fairness, and ensuring shared prosperity. And as we embark on this journey, we have to learn from the challenges and the opportunities faced by other Muslim countries like Malaysia, Iran, Sudan, etc. So for Pakistan, the opportunity and the challenge is to learn from these experiences. I think we have about 48 minutes, so and we have a small panel, so we will have a lot of opportunities to go into the details of the subject. We will explore this journey from multiple perspectives. First of all, we'll talk about regulatory vision, banking transformation, readiness as far as capital markets is concerned, the vital role of Sharia authenticity, and of course, human capital. We are honored to have with us a group of subject matter experts, and together we will attempt to answer one of the very powerful questions. How can Pakistan lead the world in building a financial system rooted not just in profit, but in purpose? So I will start with Atif Hanif sir, and actually I'll go around the table first and ask a very simple question. How confident are you that Pakistan can realistically achieve 100% conversion by 2028? And if not 100%, then what can you share a percentage, please, which is most likely in your view? Just one number.
Thank you, Shoaib. I think this is a National Assembly resolution that the banking industry has to be converted by the end of 2027.
Yeah.
And government seems to be committed. They have recently formed a very high-level committee of ministers and regulators to ensure that how this conversion will take place and how will the banking industry emerge after this conversion. Having said that, considering certain basic challenges that the industry is facing, if the entire industry needs to be converted. For example, the conventional banking holds an asset size of about 35 trillion rupees of government bonds. Unless and until there is an alternate of sakuks available for those bonds with the government, practically it is not possible that the entire industry can get converted. So this single most important challenge, keeping that in view, I think it will not be possible for the entire industry to get converted by the end of 2027. But the way conversion is taking place, like big banks have announced conversion of their branches in KP, all of them almost, and likewise a large number of branches are being converted across the country. So I think 55% would be a good number to target for the industry to achieve by the end of 2027.
Thank you, Atif.
Which is today 25%.
Yeah,
so,
25%, right?
So more than doubling that would be a good number to achieve.
So inshallah it will be over 50%. Which is a very good benchmark.
Inshallah.
Imtiaz?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Shoaib sir. So I think, yes, it's one way to look at it, that what percentage can be converted by 2027. I think the way I'm looking at it, I think 2027 is a good guiding light to have, but I think more than the percentage, what is important is that we do it in the right way, because it is also a big journey towards credibility. One is that you announce that, you can announce it overnight that, okay, from tomorrow morning we'll all do Sharia compliant banking, but that might not achieve the purpose. So the way I'm looking at it, I'm more interested in the way it is executed rather than what percentage do we achieve by 2027. But yes, if one has to look at it, I think if we can come up with an alternate to the government securities, the liquidity management tools, then obviously that percentage will just go up very immediately, because that seems to be the biggest chunk that will lead to the biggest conversion. So most likely they are working on it. I do feel that they will be able to achieve a lot of considerable progress by 2027. But I think more than the percentage, I think we should also have a credibility barometer, that we are going towards it more credibly and creating more stakeholders who believe in it rather than rushing towards the 27 deadline. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Okay, thank you. Mufti Sahab, aapse.
Alhamdulillah, all Sharia enablers are there. And, but obviously, practically, conversion is not an easy task. And the major impediment is what Mr. Atif mentioned.
Right.
And my guess is that, inshallah, we can achieve between 40 to 50%.
40 to 50%.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah, thank you. Mufti Sahab, a follow-up question to you now. You sit on the Sharia boards of a number of asset management companies, also on a number of banks. And in your role as a Sharia advisor or member of the Sharia boards, you interact a lot with the SCCP, State Bank, Stock Exchange to some extent. How do you see the collaboration between them? Are we moving in a collective manner or in a coordinated manner to move towards this compliance, or everybody is working in silos?
There is collaboration, but I think we need more collaboration. And it feels that, I feel sometimes that there is repetition. A work which is already being done by one of the regulators is being done by other regulator. So if they work with more collaboration, that will be better for the industry. For example, if any structure is approved by one regulator, so the same should be already approved by the other institution, regulator. So there should not be any difference. Otherwise, the industry will remain confused. So I think they need more collaboration and contribution.
Imtiaz, I will throw the same question to you because you have been on the sell side for a very long time. Now you're on the buy side. You have worked with international investors as well. So if we look at the stock exchange today, there are about 15 or 16 different products, and only 2 or 3 are Sharia compliant at the moment. At the same time, there are regulations coming up which require the brokers to have an Islamic window or Islamic desk. Similarly, we have 3 or 4 asset management companies who are also on the Islamic side. So how do you see the collaboration between the regulators in terms of moving it, especially from the perspective of the stock exchange?
So Shweb, I think in terms of the conversion, they're also interconnected. Whether they collaborate at what level, that's one aspect, but there's also a natural connection, right? So for example, the banking sector does transform into Islamic or the Sharia compliant mode. What that will do is obviously take a lot of companies automatically to the Sharia compliant status, because if the banking sector, obviously you have the conventional banks are out of the equation, then obviously that becomes, every bank will then theoretically become an Islamic bank. So that's one aspect taken care of. And secondly, once the whole banking system is aligned to Sharia compliant lending modes, then obviously the other factors that lead to Sharia compliance, whether it be interest-bearing debt, whether it be interest income, those should all automatically start falling in line. So in terms of the investable universe, I think that's directly interconnected to what happens at the SBP and the SCCP level, and that PSX will follow through. Now that leaves us one with entities that have, ab initio, their businesses are not compliant. So obviously that will remain a smaller portion of the market, whether it's media, whether it's tobacco, whether it's alcohol. So obviously barring that, everything should naturally, when we achieve the 100% compliance, should become a Sharia compliant entity. The other part is then how does the stock exchange's own dealings converted to Sharia compliant? Now the SCCP is working towards T+1, for example. I think if we at some stage reach T+0, then obviously the day trading matter, which is otherwise not allowed under a Sharia compliant economy, that can get resolved. The other work that will need to go on into is probably a financing product, because that's also almost non-existent. Yes, there is a mode of Sharia compliant share financing that exists today, but really not a lot of volume goes through that. So I think that's the other part that will need to happen. So I think in some ways PSX life is easier, that the investable universe is probably going to be driven by what happens at the other regulator levels. What PSX needs to work on is probably eventually move to T+0 and also work out ways of Sharia compliant financing. So I think that will take PSX to where we ideally want it to be on 100% compliance.
Thank you. Atif Saab, coming to you, you mentioned about one of the challenges of not having the sukuk for full conversion. What are the other challenges, and in addition to that, what are the other challenges or the opportunities in terms of full conversion or transformation?
Certainly, apart from the sukuks, availability of sukuks, the other challenge is that the expertise of Islamic banking. In the banking industry in Pakistan, the total number of employees are about 200,000. 50,000 are working in Islamic banking. 150,000 are working in conventional banking. And these 150,000 bankers generally are among that segment of the society who are not very convinced that Islamic banking is really Islamic or not. So if we expect those conventional bankers to be providing Islamic banking services going forward, two things are very important. Number one, they need to be trained on Islamic banking, and then they should be very convinced that this is the real Islamic banking. Because this is not the only time Pakistan is trying to convert the entire industry into Islamic. We have made a mistake once in 1984, where with one stroke of pen of the highest authority in the country, the entire banking system was converted into PLS banking. And later on, that was 1984. And then in 1992, the Supreme Court Sharia Tribunal declared that un-Islamic, because there was not proper products and Sharia compliance mechanisms backing that system. So this new Islamic banking system was formed. So in fact, we are not converting from conventional banking to Islamic. We are converting from an old Islamic banking system to a new Islamic banking system. Because what we call conventional banking today, it is not really conventional because it does not have the word interest in it. The word interest was removed in 1984, and in 1992, when it was declared un-Islamic, interest was not reintroduced. It was not reverted to 1984 level. So the challenge remains of the trust. It is very important that if we are converting, the trust of the people on the Islamic banking should be reinforced. That this is not just a regulatory requirement that the entire industry is being converted. This is really a riba-free system to which Pakistan is adopting. As far as the opportunities are concerned, I think Islamic banking is, or rather, we should look at Islamic banking in the overall context of Sharia compliance economy. And I will say that since we are part of the Dalla Group of Saudi Arabia, which also has Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Development as an associate body, which works for the socio-economic uplift of 57 Islamic countries, its headquarters is based in Karachi. And one of the subjects on which Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Development works is the global halal economy. And there's a big conference that is held every year in Makkah. It's called Makkah Halal Forum. Since I'm a regular participant of that conference, and since this new management took over Al Baraka Bank, and we have closely allied with Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Development, we are trying to align Pakistan with the global halal economy. And in fact, if we look at Islamic banking conversion in the context of total halal global economy, not just banking, but overall halal economy, I think that provides opportunities for Pakistan's biggest economic challenges also. For example, I can give a few numbers regarding global halal economy. Halal economy basically comprises of 4 segments. Halal protein, which is $1 trillion of global consumption, and this includes all kind of meat. The largest global trader is Brazil, exporter, $10 billion per year. Second is Australia. Third is Indonesia. Fourth is India with $4 billion exports. Pakistan is $500 million export. Second is halal pharmaceutical and halal cosmetics, $250 billion international trade. Pakistan contribution is 0. Third is halal tourism. Halal tourism is now $250 billion of international global spending per year. In Pakistan, everything is halal, but not a single hotel, resort, or restaurant is certified halal. So the global halal tourists, Pakistan is out of their radar. Even in Bangkok, 50% of the 5-star hotels are today halal certified. In Turkey, 60% of their hotels are certified halal. But Pakistan is missing out in their $250 billion. The fourth is halal fashion. Halal fashion is $405 billion annual trade. And Pakistan, despite being a champion of textile, has 0 contribution in halal fashion. So what we are doing is, along with Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Development, we held one seminar in Lahore, invited 130 leading companies and explained the halal dynamics, global economy. Second, we held in Karachi. About 170 leading companies were invited. And third, we held a workshop on halal fashion, a full-day workshop in Karachi. So what we are trying to do is encouraging the Pakistan's very strong and successful retail textile sector to start exploring the halal fashion. So the latest being, the largest halal conference is being held in London this month, and we are taking about 10 leading textile companies from Pakistan and also some food product companies to that conference under Pakistan Pavilion to start aligning Pakistan with this halal economy. So for Pakistan conversion, halal is also a solution, because if $35 trillion rupees of PIBs cannot be converted into sukuks, then a robust growth of halal segments in Pakistan will provide financing opportunity for the Islamic banks and hence compensate for that lack of instruments from the government side. And if you look at the opportunity, yes, because Pakistan's exports are $30 billion. 10 years ago, exactly in 2014, our export was $25 billion. So we have not grown in 10 years. Bangladesh was $30 billion in 2014. They are today $51 billion. So if Pakistan, halal and Islamic banking is an opportunity for Pakistan's economy to undertake robust growth, externally through exports and internally in the form of financial inclusion. Because out of 150 million adults in Pakistan, there are only 91 million bank accounts. And out of those 91 million bank accounts, 40 million are dormant. So actually we have 50 million accounts in Pakistan for 150 million adults. And the single most important reason that all the surveys have come up with is for unbanked or people shying away from coming to banking is the fear of riba. So if the industry is converting partially or fully towards Islamic banking, that is the actually solution for and an opportunity for financial inclusion and documentation of economy as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Atif. You have given a very different perspective actually, and very interesting perspective that it is not just Islamic banking and finance. We have to look at the entire halal market, and these are the different segments which have a low-hanging fruit, very good opportunities that Pakistan can utilize. Imtiaz, taking a cue from what Atif just mentioned about unbanked sector and basically our inability to reach out to the masses through the traditional means, how do you think digitization or technology can actually help to reach out the participants in capital markets to reach out to the far-flung areas in the country?
So I think it's probably not just Islamic finance matter, it's probably a finance matter in general. Yeah. You need a financial inclusion, you need people to understand what are the options that are available, you need to break through those glass ceilings. And digitization obviously makes it very easy. Through social media, you can reach to areas that were not considered feasible earlier at a very, very reasonable cost. So that's really opening up avenues. Sorry. But what that has also done is that if you look at whatever new products have been brought into the market, the underlying demand has been Sharia compliant. And no one better than this panel to know yourself that if you look at the banking sector deposits, 23-25% are Islamic. Asset management came in later. But the new product had higher Islamic demand. Today, 45 to 50% of the assets under management are Islamic. If you look at REITs, for example, that came up recently, everybody is targeting a Sharia compliant REIT now. So what digitization can help really expedite this process is introduce new people to finance. And we've seen that the underlying tendency of Pakistanis is to prefer Sharia compliance where there is available. And again, going back to the mutual fund industry example, that we know that the sukuks give you a lower return than the conventional bills. So in some ways, the fixed income market for Sharia compliant has been giving you a lower return. But still it's attracted a bigger percentage of people. So aided by digitization, aided by a better reach, as we introduce people to more financial concepts, I think the latent demand for Sharia compliant products just will break through. And that could really be the tipping point that takes it from a supply driven to a demand driven Sharia compliant economy or a Sharia compliant financial market.
Thank you. Mufti Saab, coming to you. Atif just mentioned that there are about 200,000 bankers in the country, out of which only 50,000 are working for Islamic bank or in Islamic products. and those who are not, who are on the conventional side, still have doubts. I think it's not certainly confined to those people, but generally, if you look at the people, generally in the masses also, many people still have doubts about the Sharia authenticity of Islamic financial institutions. So can you suggest some strategy to educate them, to make them aware how Islamic finance is different from conventional?
Actually, in our country and in our community, perception prevails. We are not guided by knowledge. We are guided by our own perception. So this perception cannot be corrected unless you spread knowledge and awareness. So awareness is very important at all levels. And it should start from our education system. Because we don't know the difference between Islamic and non-Islamic. And sometimes I don't call it Islamic. I rather say acceptable to Sharia. It is not necessary that everything which is conventional is non-Islamic. Something is very conventional, very new, and newly invented, but because there is no Sharia harm in it, it is acceptable. Like this water, it is not something, it is conventional, but it is Sharia compliant. So we must know the difference between what is allowed and what is not allowed. And when we talk about financial arrangements, so the financial arrangements basically are allowed. All financial arrangements are allowed except those which are prohibited by Sharia. And Sharia has listed down don'ts. So if we understand those don'ts, we can identify between what is Islamic and what is non-Islamic, and what is acceptable to Sharia and what is not acceptable to Sharia. So our perception is that what is required by Sharia is 180-degree different from conventional. No. That is why what is being perceived as Islamic is just the result of the correction process. We need to correct the conventional system, and the outcome will be Islamic. So this should be taught in educational institutions and in financial institutions, and obviously till very long time, awareness and education will remain very important. So this is the challenge, and this is the requirement for conversion, not to correct documents, but to teach people what is Islamic and what is non-Islamic, and the basic things should be elaborated first.
Thank you, Mufti Sahib. I'll ask you a follow-up question, Mufti Sahib, on this education part. So if you look at the traditional, again, it's not conventional, I would not call it conventional because you said don't use the word conventional. I would say the traditional teaching system or the education system in the country, which is normal A levels, O levels, matriculation, BCom, etc., university level, there's very little awareness, very little education which is being given on the Islamic finance or Islamic capital markets. On the other hand, we have, mashallah, a complete system of becoming an alim through different programs. So again, how can we have a convergence between the two, and collectively what efforts can we make actually to bring in some of the aspects of the Islamic teachings or Islamic finance education to the conventional system? Because if we have to go to 100% Islamic finance and Islamic capital markets, certainly we need the people who are aware of it and who understand it. And as you rightly said, now perception is prevailing over the reality. So any thoughts on this, please?
The actual solution is to correct your curriculum and add these things in your curriculum. But because it is a long journey, so I think the middle way is that this responsibility should be borne by financial institutions, those financial institutions that are offering Sharia-compliant products. They should come up and teach the community and create write-ups and videos, and to define simply, in simple words, without using complicated terminologies, what is Islamic and what is non-Islamic, and what is the basic Sharia requirement for a financial transaction to become Sharia compliant, minimum Sharia compliant, and what is the riba. Sometimes we confuse between interest and riba and sood and riba. Actually, Sharia has not prohibited, please bear my words, Sharia has not prohibited interest. Sharia hasn't prohibited sood. Sharia has prohibited riba. And riba cannot be translated to interest or cannot be translated to sood, because riba is a terminology, and a terminology should be understood, rather translated. So it is very important, I think this is the core, to understand what is riba, which was prohibited by Quran. And sometimes we consider something which is not riba, maybe it is considered interest. So we, for example, calculating profit against time or time value of money. Mere time value of money is not riba, but maybe it is considered as interest. So what is prohibited by Sharia and what is allowed by Sharia, this knowledge should be spread, and I think this gap should be filled by financial institutions. And because they are in market, they should take this responsibility.
Thank you, Mufti Sahab. Very interesting. Atif, coming to you about this lack of human resources or the manpower actually. MashaAllah, Al-Baraka Bank is in different countries and you have experienced international experience as well. So compared to other markets, how do you see the bankers or the professionals in Pakistan as in terms of awareness about the Islamic finance and capital markets? Are we lagging far behind, or are we somewhere in the middle? Are we among the top 3? Any idea on that?
Well, generally, Pakistan banking is considered very mature. We are in 13 countries, mostly North Africa, South Africa, Turkey, Bahrain, and now opening in Saudi Arabia. So Pakistan banking industry overall is considered very mature. I think as far as Islamic banking awareness is concerned, we are also quite high. Okay. Nevertheless, the challenges that we have, like I said, is very unique. In none of these countries, except Sudan, there's a dual system in all these countries. But Islamic banking is never questioned or it's not challenged the way it is in Pakistan. And the reason I said was the same reason that we had a failed attempt in 1984, and that is in the people's memory, and people still ask that how it is confirmed that this one is the right one, not the older one. So generally, as far as your question, knowledge is concerned, our knowledge base is quite high.
Okay.
We have a very high reputation because of Mufti Taqi Usmani Sahab. and Darul Uloom Karachi, who has produced the world-renowned scholars on Islamic banking. So yes, we are ranked quite high in Sharia knowledge.
Thank you. Atif, I will have a follow-up question to you about this course correction. So we are all talking about this transformation by end of 2027 or 1st January 2028 to transform the complete system, financial system. But certainly it is an end in itself as well, but it's a means to an end as well. So what is it in Pakistan? What do you see there's a benefit of doing this? Certainly we say we are moving in that direction. Inshallah, we will be 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, or inshallah at one point in time, inshallah, we'll be 100% as well. How do you see it to benefit the country?
You know, like I said, I see this as a very promising opportunity because if our banking industry is only 20% banked, it means a proper Sharia compliant conversion can multiply the banking industry at least, you know, it has the potential to multiply it by 5 times. So whatever we see the size of the banks today, they're only 20% of its real potential. And I'm not talking about how much new adults we are adding to the population. About 5 million teenagers are being added to adulthood every year. And banking industry is not opening 3 to 4 million accounts per year. So this unbanked is the potential of Pakistan in terms of its documentation, in terms of its financial inclusion. But like I said, we should look at Islamic banking conversion as a whole in the context of halal economy. And it is so huge. I'm very optimistic that actually Islamic banking coupled with the alignment with the global halal economy can change the complete outlook of Pakistan's economy. I can just repeat the numbers. Textiles exports of Pakistan are $20 billion. Halal fashion is $400 billion. If we target 5% of that $400 billion in 5 years, that means doubling of textile sector in 5 years. Now that has not happened in last 20 years. So that also then aligns with the opportunity for assets of Islamic banking industry. So I think the solution lies in the whole ecosystem of halal and Islamic banking for Pakistan, not only for the conversion purpose, but for the robust economic growth and exports of Pakistan as well. So I'm very optimistic about this.
Thank you. Mufti Sahib, talking about the other Muslim countries like Malaysia. So Malaysia has kind of achieved harmony in its financial sector through a very well-structured Sharia governance framework. And the framework has evolved in Pakistan as well over the years. But what do you think, how can Pakistan adopt a unified Sharia governance approach, because we have different fiqh, different people, and we have a very big population which carries different views. So we have to take care of the diversity of thought as well. What are your thoughts about this?
Alhamdulillah, we have already achieved this. The framework which is being in practice since several years is more or less agreed by all Sharia scholars representing diverse school of thoughts. And we are gradually adopting Sharia standards issued by AOFI, and Sharia standards of AOFI are globally acceptable, and I think there is no big difference between scholars, and they generally agree. Yes, there is a segment of scholars in all schools of thought who don't agree with the very basic structure of banking. So they obviously question Islamic banking as well. But that is not something related with halal and haram. That is rather related with what is more beneficial and what should be desirable. So I think we have already achieved this level.
MashaAllah. So just the closing reflections. We will talk about a couple of things because we have been asked to conclude the session in 5 minutes. If we meet again in 2028, what would success look like to each of you? Atif, starting from you.
I'll say the best effort from all stakeholders to achieve the ultimate goal. Government has already established a committee, high-level committee. I can tell from State Bank, since we interact with Central Bank a lot, they are trying their best to get as many branches possible converted into Islamic. But I will again say that the financial inclusion and the exports of Pakistan, that the solution lies with Islamic banking and the overall halal economy. So I would say that if the economy has started diverting towards the halal economy, especially the halal tourism and the halal fashion, these two segments can really uplift the Pakistan's economy, and in the process there will be abundant assets available for the Islamic banks to convert to whatever pace they like. So that will be the alternate, that will set the tone for the alternate asset building to the government bonds. And if we have undertaken that path, I think that will be a success story. Numbers can then be achieved in due course.
Thank you. Imtiaz?
So I think what would success look like if we look back at it in a couple of years, I think, and it's the joint responsibility of all of us, is that it is a system that is owned and accepted by everyone. So, how will that be achieved? There's a lot of work that has been done in Islamic finance in terms of the what and the how. That what makes an instrument Islamic, how is this transaction going to be Sharia compliant? I think one of the things that we need to also work on as we head into 2028 is the why. All of us need to be able to convince the general population that why is this Islamic system the best of the alternates available? Why is this less exploitative? Why is this less speculative? Why is this more asset-backed? So I think real success would look like we enter into 2028, and if not all, at least a very, very big majority of the population also believes that we are heading into a system that is the best of the alternates available, rather than accepting it half-heartedly. I think the responsibility lies on all of us to achieve this success.
I think we should focus on the complete ecosystem of Islamic finance, not only Islamic banks or banking. There is ecosystem which should work all together, and we should focus on that ecosystem, and the complete ecosystem, I mean banks, insurance, and mutual asset management companies, investment and companies. They should move forward, and they should focus on achieving Sharia compliance. And the other point is that, Alhamdulillah, we have spent too many years on correction and on documentation and on how to achieve minimum Sharia compliance. So Alhamdulillah, structures are there. Now we should focus on the adding value. So the consumer should realize and see that what is being offered with the name of Islamic, whether it is banking or non-banking, it has real value for him. So it should attract. And that is why you can increase the inclusion. Otherwise, I don't think that mere conversion will help people to move to Islamic.
Okay, that's great. So if I were to sum up the discussion today, certainly, as Atif Saab mentioned, that we have to move, not focus just on the Islamic financial ecosystem, but on the entire halal industry. At the same time, it's a journey. It's not a transition from one day. We are not 25% Islamic and tomorrow or in 2 years we'll be 100% Islamic. It's a journey. We have to create awareness about it, and the consumer and actually the user of the Islamic ecosystem has to understand the benefits of that, the awareness about the products, the understanding that the product is genuinely Islamic, and also we need to prepare the manpower, because if we don't have the manpower, we will not be able to implement it. And of course, one of the points which is very important is that there is sufficient availability of financial assets. So with these words, I would like to close the session, and thank you very much for sparing time for it. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you very much. Shoaib sir, आप सवाल पूछना चाह रहे हैं? जी, quick one. We just have time for one question.
Thank you very much. मुफ्ती साहब से मेरा एक सवाल है कि सर अभी आपने ये शायद फरमाया कि हमारे यहाँ परसेप्शन और नॉलेज, हम परसेप्शन पर या फॉलो हम ज़्यादा लोगों को करते हैं, तो सर ये हमारे यहाँ जो मौजूदा सेटअप है शरिया एडवाइजरी बोर्ड्स जो हैं, क्या ये तमाम मकातब फ़िक्र को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं? अगर करते हैं तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, अगर नहीं करते तो आप या शरिया बोर्ड्स जो हैं इसके लिए क्या इकदाम किए? एक आतिफ साहब से सवाल मेरा छोटा सा और है कि सर आपने जिस तरह से स्कोप ऑफ हलाल फाइनेंस के बारे में बताया, तो सर ये बताएं, कुछ लोग तो ये समझते हैं कि ये इस्लामिक जो फाइनेंस है ये एक चैलेंज है, तो आपकी गुफ्तगू से ये लगा कि ये चैलेंज नहीं है, ये एक अपॉर्चुनिटी है जिसको अवेल करना चाहिए। तो सर ये बताएं कि हमारी जो रेगुलेटर्स हैं इस्लामिक स्टेट बैंक ऑफ पाकिस्तान और SCCP, ये इसके फ़रोग़ के लिए क्या इक़दाम कर रही है? क्या आप इससे मुतमईन हैं? ये दो सवाल मेरे हैं सर, दोनों हजरात से। थैंक यू।
बहुत शुक्रिया।
देखिए, ये जो एक परसेप्शन है, ये भी एक परसेप्शन है, तासुर है कि हमारे यहाँ जो है मुख्तलिफ़ मकातिब फ़िक्र हैं और उनके दरमियान जो है वो बहुत सारे मामलात में इल्मी और फ़िक़ही इख्तलाफ है, तो शायद इस्लामिक बैंकिंग के अंदर भी ये इख्तलाफ होगा। फॉर्चुनेटली खुशकिस्मती है कि यहाँ पर ऐसा कोई इख्तलाफ जो है वो नहीं है, और जो फ्रेमवर्क बना हुआ है, जो स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं, उसको सब एग्री करते हैं। वजह उसकी ये है कि ये जो इख्तलाफ राय है ये ज़्यादातर अक़ाइद में, इबादात में जो है वो ज़्यादा ज़ाहिर होता है। ये मामलात के अंदर, फाइनेंशियल अरेंजमेंट्स के अंदर जो है वो इतना इख्तलाफ नहीं है, और स्टैंडर्ड्स को सब जो है वो एग्री करते हैं। और मुख्तलिफ़ मकातिब फ़िक्र की रिप्रेजेंटेशन से ज़्यादा अहम जो है वो ये है कि इसके अंदर अहल लोग आएँ जिनके पास तजुर्बा है और जो इन चीज़ों को समझते हैं। तो वो डिमांड सप्लाई के ऊपर बेस करता है, और जैसी सप्लाई डिमांड होगी वैसी सप्लाई होगी। और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अभी तक जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं इंडस्ट्री के अंदर, शरिया बोर्ड्स के अंदर, मुख्तलिफ़ मकातिब फ़िक्र से हैं और जो है वो पढ़ भी रहे हैं, और अच्छी सप्लाई भी जो है वो मौजूद है। तो उसको जो है बजाय इसके कि रेगुलेटर उसमें कोई कंडीशन लगाए, उसको आज़ाद रखना चाहिए। ये एक एक्सपर्टी है, ये एक सलाहियत है, इसका जो है वो किसी कोटे से, किसी मकतब फ़िक्र से इसका ताल्लुक़ नहीं।
बहुत शुक्रिया मुफ्ती साहब, थैंक यू वेरी मच सर।
Answer is कि State Bank is of course very committed to promotion of Islamic banking, और ये पूरी conversion को तो drive ही State Bank कर रहे हैं। और जहाँ तक आपने awareness का कहा, तो State Bank is also leading the major industry-wide marketing campaign of Islamic banking and Islamic banking products and services। और ट्रेनिंग के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा फोकस है स्टेट बैंक का। दे आर रेगुलेटिंग कि सब बैंक्स जो हैं इस्लामिक बैंकिंग की ट्रेनिंग तक अपने स्टाफ को एक सर्टन नंबर ऑफ़ डेज़ पर ईयर, वो इवन नंबर ऑफ़ डेज़ भी काउंटेड हैं जो हमें रिपोर्ट करने पड़ते हैं। और जहाँ तक हलाल का ताल्लुक़ है, तो जो हमारी आवर मेन कॉन्फ्रेंस इन कराची जो विच वाज ऑन हलाल इकोनॉमी, द चेयरपर्सन वाज डिप्टी गवर्नर स्टेट बैंक मिस्टर सलीमुल्लाह साहब, सो दे आर ऑफ कोर्स सपोर्टिंग द हलाल इकोनॉमी एज वेल।
सर थैंक यू वेरी मच सर, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। पॉसिटी ऑफ टाइम की वजह से हम ज़्यादा क्वेश्चंस नहीं ले सके, बट वी आर वेरी थैंकफुल टू ऑल द पैनलिस्ट्स ऑल्सो, एंड एज दे ऑल mentioned rightly that Islamic banking should reflect the true spirit of Islam, true value of Islam. Now we'll have a quick souvenir presentation, and I would like to call upon stage Global Chief Economist ACCA, Mr. Jonathan Ashworth. If you could join us on stage, sir, to present the souvenirs. And Ms. Farina Mazhar, who is the Chief Public Engagements Officer, Nutshell. And Major General Retired Shehzad Naeem Saab, Chief Public Affairs Officer. Can we have you both on stage also? Thank you. Our first souvenir is for Mufti Muhammad Hassan Kaleem, who is the Sharia advisor on board of 10 companies. Mufti Sahab, aap. Then up next we have Muhammad Atif Hanif Saab, who is the Chief Executive Officer, Al Baraka Bank, Pakistan Limited. Mr. Imtiaz Gadar, who is the Chief Executive Officer, Al Mizan Investment Management Limited. And finally, Mr. Muhammad Shoaib, who moderated this session, who is the CEO and co-founder, Lucky Investments Limited. All right, time for a group photograph, please. I would request all the guests on the stage to pose for the official group photograph. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all the panelists, the moderator, and all the honorable guests who joined us on stage. Ladies and